Imagine this. You finally bought your dream home with a private lake, the place you worked your whole life for. Peace, freedom, and happiness were all yours. But suddenly, a letter appears on your door, stating you've been fined $1,000 for, what? Swimming in your own lake. Sounds unbelievable, right? But this wasn't a dream, it was reality. And one man didn't. John had spent years working long shifts and saving every penny. He wasn't chasing luxury, he was chasing peace. Finally, after years of sacrifice, he purchased a modest but beautiful home with one breathtaking feature, a small private lake, right on the edge of his property. To John, that lake wasn't just water. It was freedom. It was healing. Every morning he would wake up at sunrise, step onto the wooden dock, and dive into the shimmering water. The cool ripples against his skin washed away the stress of years. The next HOA meeting was packed. John walked in calmly, but inside his blood boiled. He held the violation letter in his hand as he stood in front of the board. "Karen, this fine is ridiculous. That lake is part of my property deed. You can't fine me for swimming in it." Karen leaned back smugly, arms crossed. "Rules are rules, John. The lake is shared. You should have asked permission." The room went silent. John scanned the faces of his neighbors. Many avoided his eyes, afraid to speak up. A few looked uncomfortable, but no one dared to challenge Karen directly. That night, John couldn't sleep. He sat at his kitchen table, stacks of papers in front of him, his property deed, his closing documents, and, most importantly, the HOA bylaws. Hours passed, coffee cups piled up, and then, there it was. Loophole. A detail Karen had completely overlooked. According to the bylaws, any fine above $500 required unanimous board approval. No such approval had been recorded, and homeowners had the right to propose adjustments to. At the following HOA meeting, John walked in with confidence. He held up the violation letter. "Karen, this fine is invalid. You didn't have board approval, and since you abused your power, I'm invoking Section 14B. Karen frowned. "Section, what?" John held up the bylaws, highlighted in bright yellow. "The section that allows us to raise HOA fees for board misconduct, and I'm proposing a $5,000 increase in dues." "For you," the room gasped. Neighbors' eyes widened. Karen's face turned beet red. "This is illegal. You can't punish me like this." But the HOA secretary stamped the document. Approved. The decision was final. From that day forward, Karen's monthly dues skyrocketed. The same woman who once fined others for petty reasons now struggled under the weight of her own abuse of power. John, on the other hand, didn't pay a single cent. Neighbors who once feared Karen now looked at John with admiration. He had stood up not just for himself, but for all of them. A week later, John returned to his lake. The morning sun painted the sky in gold and pink as he slipped into the cool water. Each stroke felt like a victory. The ripples seemed to carry away the bitterness of the past weeks. For the first time, in a long time, John felt peace. Karen, meanwhile, had learned the hardest lesson of all. Power without fairness always backfires. And for John, the sweetest victory wasn't avoiding the $1,000 fine. It was proving that sometimes justice comes in ripples. And all it takes is the courage to make the first splash. And that's how John turned the tables on his HOA president. What do you think? Was he right to use the rules against Karen? Or should he have handled it differently? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful HOA emotional tales.